Hey guys, game composer Caleb here with the Human Music Society. As I've been exploring this idea of the human creative spirit and what differentiates that from AI creativity, one of the things I was thinking about was our physical bodies and our physical senses. Now, obviously, the body is creative. I mean, you just have to look at our ability to procreate, but our bodies are not just creative in that sense and biologically creative. I think that they're also artistically creative as well. And as I've been thinking about this, I think they're artistically creative in so many ways that we take for granted. For example, we experience art through our senses. Now, this sounds very basic, but if you think about it, this is how we enter into the artistic conversation. Um, Whenever we are looking at a painting or listening to a piece of music or something like that, we are using our senses to gather the information contained in that artwork. And from there, we are inferring the conversation, inferring the value of that art to us and to society. Another thing about our bodies is that I think that they are artistic in and of themselves and inhabit a world which is artistic in and of itself. Whether or not you believe in a creator, I think it's fair to say that we live in a masterpiece, both in our bodies and then also in the greater world around us. I don't know if you've ever experienced a large thunderstorm or any sort of big weather event, but there's something about how we experience that which speaks to, at least for me, it speaks to my soul in a way which is sort of hard to describe. But it's on that same sort of level of communication as you might find in a piece of art, like a powerful piece of music or something like that. And so the way in which we experience the world around us outside of human-made art even, there is an artistic conversation going on there, which I think is really, really amazing. Another piece of creativity which our bodies have is through art, we experience sensual information, and that information can actually cross our senses. And I think this happens a lot, particularly with creative people, but the more you're exposed to art, I think the more this happens. And this is called synesthesia. And there are people in the world who have this more on the extreme end where they can smell sight, or they can really, really see sound, or those sorts of things where our senses get crossed. But I think for everyone who experiences art on a regular basis, there's some element of that happening. I think that's why if you ever have been part of or watched a large ensemble rehearse, like an orchestra, a lot of the time the vocabulary they're using is not about music or sound. It's about other things like color and taste and using other senses to portray meaning in the world of music. And that's something which our bodies are a part of, and something which our bodies are actively interacting with in the artistic space. And also, we experience emotional expression through our bodies. I think the most raw and obvious version of this is dance, whether you do ballet or any other sort of dance. At a fundamental level, you're expressing the ineffable, expressing the things you can't talk about through your body. And your body becomes an instrument for creativity in and of itself. This is also true in music, and I'm sure it's true in other art forms as well. But when you're playing an instrument, if you're proficient at that instrument, then the instrument becomes sort of an extension of your body, and you're able to dance out the emotional expression through that instrument. And this is how people are able to play emotively, and this is how people are able to capture your attention with the dynamics and the movement of the music. And, there's no greater example of this than singing, where you actually have the instrument in your physical body and being able to express yourself through that. Well, if you ever hear an excellent singer, then it's just amazing what they can do with that and how they can touch other people, how they can communicate with other people through their creative expression of their voice. So given this conversation, I think it's fair to say that the body is a medium through which the human creative spirit speaks and how the creative conversation is started. AI doesn't have a body. It doesn't have senses. And so how is it supposed to be a part of the creative conversation? Everything it knows is secondhand. It knows it through us, through our experience. As AI continues to grow, it will start learning from itself. And so without access to the physical world, its creativity is going to get less and less representative of human creativity. I think the really excellent example of AI not having a body is an experience I had with it once, where I was talking to an AI and I asked it to describe to me how you would write a piece of music to make the audience cry. I don't know, I was somewhat surprised and somewhat not surprised, but the AI answered the question better than I could have. It answered it perfectly as far as I'm concerned as to how you can make an audience cry, technically speaking. But here's the question. Does the AI know the intensity of that weeping? Does the AI know what it means to be so overwhelmed by music that tears are streaming down your face and you feel like you've entered a new world altogether? I don't think it does. And so while it can perfectly describe the process, and it might even be able to recreate the process or to copy the process, there's something fundamentally missing about it, which I don't think AI can replicate. The crazy thing, though, is that AI will have bodies in the near future as the robotics industry explodes in the coming years. There will be robots walking around in all shapes and sizes powered by AI. But, I think that even then, AI will not be human because it won't be prone to our weaknesses or our strengths or our joys or our hardships. And whatever it's sensing, however that works, but maybe sensing things we can't sense. I think there's something fundamental about the organic nature of our bodies, which is unique about our senses, and something which I don't think AI will ever replicate fully. And so this is why the creative spirit in humans is unique. And this is why I think we need to make sure that as we enter into this new world of AI, that the human spirit continues to grow and to thrive. But I want to hear from you. What do you think is the relationship between our bodies, between our senses and creativity? Let me know in the comments.